Noting the hour of 7:03 and a quorum present, I called to order the planning board meeting of October 19th, 2021. The first, I'm just going to quickly run over the agenda. There's been nothing added to it. We have to approve the minutes of October 5th. We have an A&R for 93 Maple Street. We have a master plan review from Marion Neutra. I want to discuss one of the potential or one of the warrant articles, the floodplain bylaw, and we have updates on ongoing development projects. So with that said, is there anyone here for, is Marion here, or is there anyone here for 93 Maple Street, Gino?
I do not see anybody here for 93 Maple Street, so far at least.
Okay, is Marion among us?
Yes, she is.
Well, if nobody's here for 93 Maple Street and Marion is here, let's take things out of order. Marion, welcome. I know some of the newer board members don't realize how much time you spent on the master plan. Countless hours would be an under exaggeration. So Marion, if you would give us an update, that would be great.
Actually, it's measured not in hours, but in months, as you know, and Addie May especially. Yeah, thanks. Can you not see me, Chris?
I can see you.
Oh, I thought you couldn't see me because you asked if I was here, and I was here.
Well, once Gino clicked on you, now I can see you. I can't see everybody that's there.
Oh,
So he tells me who's there, and then he clicks on people, and then they pop up. So right now I'm looking at you.
oh, okay. You don't have gallery view on your Zoom?
You know me. I still like paper and pencil. So
okay, I wasn't sure how you were online. Anyway,
yep.
Let me get right to it and not waste your time. You'll recall, or most of you who were on planning board at the time will recall, that when we got the master plan finished and adopted by the town in 2019, we decided that we needed to do periodic updates just to try to keep the plan current, and also to keep it on the radar screen for everyone in town. So now that I've left, I started working on this really pretty soon after the master plan was finished, and have continued it on and off ever since. But I realize now it's over 2 years since the plan was adopted, and it's definitely time to reassess. The idea was to revise the implementation tables, which we have not done yet. But I thought, even though I'm no longer on planning board, I'm now on select board. It is one of the select board goals is to implement the recommendations of the planning board, of the master plan. So I figured it's okay for me to continue doing what I was doing. So to that end, I decided it's time for an update, to present an update to the select board, and through the select board meeting to the town in a way. And we may want to make it more complete after that, but just to kind of get it on the radar screen. I got the participation of the Open Space Committee in helping do an update of the sections of the master plan that they're concerned with. So let me just start by sharing my screen. I think that's the best way to go about this. And I can show you exactly what the idea is here. Okay, let me move that. Oh, sorry, I have to back up a minute to go to screen share. A little technical thing. Okay. There we go. Now I'll share. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Is it big enough? Yeah. So
Yep.
with the Open Space Committee, I'm putting together first a simple slideshow, and then we'll have an accompanying sort of handout that gives a lot more information. But this slideshow we couldn't do all 6 sections in one report, in one presentation. It's just too much, and it would just be, people's eyes would go out of focus. So we decided with Open Space Committee to take these 2 sections of the master plan and focus on those for the first installment of the progress report. That leaves, of course, housing, town center, circulation, and cultural resources yet to do and finish. And I have talked to Addie May about helping me and basically collaborating on updating, doing a progress report on housing and on circulation in a role at DPW. That seemed to make sense. I'm going to continue with an update on town center goals. Cultural resources, I'd like to see if a member of the planning board is interested in collaborating on that. I was thinking Frank might want to do that because he's been involved in community center and other cultural things in town. Is Frank present at your meeting?
I don't see anything with his name on it. There are a couple of people, well, one now it looks like, called K-Phone. I don't know who that is.
Well, anyway, we'll have to ask Frank about that, but that's not important for tonight. I wanted to show you the kind of update that we're doing, just very briefly, for the next select board meeting, which is November 4th. We took the major sections, natural resource and open space, and recreational resources, and took it goal by goal. For example, our presentation just maybe 2 hours ago at our meeting, we finalized these slides. The headings are the major recommendations of the master plan, and the bullet points underneath are just 3 outstanding pieces of progress that have been made. For goal 1, which was water resources in general, we have a couple of slides showing, the different committees and boards that have participated, and then the recommendations and the major things that have happened to fulfill those recommendations that have been done, and then a short list of future priorities. So that's how we've set up the presentation. And I'm not going to go through it all tonight because we're going to present it tomorrow night. And if you're interested in hearing it, you can tune in to the select board meeting. For forests and biodiversity and open space preservation, we've sort of consolidated those 2 because there weren't as many like outstanding events in those categories. For recreational resources, there was quite a lot done. And finally, for organized recreation, the last slide was open space recreation, and this is organized recreation, which I still have to pass before the Recreation Committee later this week, the Recreation Commission later this week. So that's just a brief report to let you know what I'm doing. And I'm sure I knew the planning board would be interested in how the master plan is being used and updated.
That's great. Is there anything in particular that we can help? I will have Gino reach out to Frank and ask him if he's interested in working on the cultural resources. And if he is, I'll have him reach out to you. Is that fair?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. If Gino could do that, that'd be great. What else can we do to help you, Marion?
Well, when Addie May and I work on the housing and circulation, and I work on the town center section, and Frank or whoever else decides to do it works on the cultural section, it would be good for those in particular for the planning board to weigh in and look at the draft presentation and give us input on what you think and what should be added, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one thing you could do. The other thing is that, let me stop sharing this. the other thing is that we're also putting together a handout, which is turning out to be more work than the slides for sure. And so I would like the planning board to review the handout and remind us of things that have been done that we forgot about.
Okay.
And so that's all really that I need help with. I can show you
Okay.
what the handout will kind of look like if you like.
Sure.
Let me just open this up. Just as an example, I'll share my screen again with your permission.
Yes, of course.
So for example, goal 1 of the housing section, we've been doing is taking each goal and just listing in a bullet-like fashion advances that have been made over the last 2 years. And the goal 1 was all about affordable housing. And this is my draft. Addie Mae hasn't worked with me on it yet. I'm sure she'll have changes and additions, but this is sort of the shape of what the handout will look like. A little more detailed, but not a long
Yep.
document. Does that make sense?
That's great. That's great.
So that's it.
All right. Does any of the members have any questions for Marion? Okay. We'll reach out.
Oh, sorry. Is K-Phone, is that Frank? Who is K-Phone?
Don't know.
Oh, okay. I guess it's not Frank. Okay.
So we'll have Gino reach out to Frank, and if he's interested, we'll have him get in touch with you. On a side note, and this is a little out of order, Marion, you know that next Thursday we have a pre-application conference with 55 and 65. There'll be, I don't know, you're aware of that, correct?
No, I was not aware of that. Thanks for telling me.
We are meeting at 2. We're meeting at 2 o'clock at the planning office next Thursday. And if you'd like to join us,
sure. I'll see if I can. I'd like to if I can.
and again, I'm taking things a little out of order. Basically, that meeting will be just to see what their plans are. We're hoping to have someone from Conservation and Board of Health there. And then I would like them to bring it back to their boards and then have a follow-up meeting to sort of get input from the different boards to give to the applicant. So that's sort of how I'm hoping it'll go.
Okay.
But this is, again, this is not a posted meeting. This is right. I mean, this is a pre-application hearing. It's not a formal meeting.
Currently, it is not a posted meeting, and I'm going to talk about that to the members, but Marion can be there and anyone else can be there. We just have to be careful as far as having a quorum. And if more members of planning want to be there, I'll just ask Gino to post it. And I've asked him to reserve the big room rather than doing it in the office.
You know, if you read the description of a pre-application conference in the rules and regs of the,
Yep.
Everybody should read that actually, of the planning board rules and regs.
Yep.
It points out that, yeah, the planning board should have taken a look at the property and have some idea of, you know, what the environmental values are. In open space.
Well, Gino forwarded that to everyone, and I believe everyone's read it. I'm not going to do anything until I see what's proposed, because right now we don't know what's proposed. And so that's why I'd like for the board to look at it and all the other boards to look at it and continue it. But that's beyond the scope here. I'm just inviting you to come.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Sorry, that's Thursday, the 28th. Is that correct?
That is Thursday, the 28th at 2 o'clock.
Okay, thanks.
And it'll be in the big meeting room on the second floor, I hope. All right. We have an A&R for 93 Maple Street. It is 2-acre zoning. We have over just about 200 feet of frontage, which is required. And it's a 2-acre lot. So does any of the members have any questions about the A&R for 93 Maple Street?
Chris,
Yes.
just to further explain it, right now it is already 2 lots, but one of the lots is undersized. The lot line follows the stone wall. And they're moving the lot line over just a little bit in order to
Get the frontage?
no, they had the frontage, the area. So now it's exactly
Okay.
2 acres.
Okay.
So it's not a new lot. It's just making it comply with zoning.
Okay. Do any of the members have any questions regarding 93 Maple Street? Hearing none. I move to endorse the A&R for 93 Maple Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Addie May,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Frank? Chris? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Gino, potential warrant articles. So I know I talk about this every meeting. What I'm hoping to do is to take one of these at a time, get it off our desk, and with the hope of by December, having hopefully all 4 of these things ready to go. Regarding lot width, in your packets, you should have received several definitions from several different towns. I have since asked Gino at some point to basically send the board members plans of different sort of lots, so you can look at the wording that different towns. Gino seemed to like Norfolk. I happen to like Norfolk as well. I think we could almost have an entire meeting, but again, look at the definitions and think about it. And maybe for November 16th, we can sit down and give it some time. For tonight, I would like to have Gino talk about the floodplain bylaw and the updates to it, and see if anyone has any questions, and maybe we can vote on this and get this thing off our desk. Okay, Gino, please.
Okay. Well, I sent out a copy of the draft along with an explanation cover sheet. And essentially, the state has provided what they call a model floodplain bylaw, but it's really a series of 20 items that they say need to be in your bylaw. And our existing bylaw already covers, I've been saying like roughly 75% of what it is. A lot of it is just clarifications or updates. But anyway, so what I did with the draft is put the items that the so-called model bylaw requires to be incorporated, and put the item number that corresponds to that item on the section of the bylaw to demonstrate that it does, we have incorporated it. So I think that unless anyone has any questions about it or whatever, I think we're in good shape for that one. And it's not like, oh, gee, do we like this? Do we want these changes? We don't have to adopt them, but if we don't, then we won't be able to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. And then none of them are really, burdensome or anything like that. So,
All
Gino,
right.
just question, looking at the language, I'm sorry.
Nope. I was just gonna say,
Right.
does everyone have any questions? So please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So just looking at the language, and I see what you did where you basically integrated the state's language, or is it state or federal?
Well, it's a federal mandate, but it's the state provided the model language.
Okay. Just I see where you put the citations of where kind of their language was integrated, but with ours, the only one I wasn't sure, where is it? Sorry, I'm just looking at it right now and I just had it in front of me. Oh, base code. Is that a standard? Is base code like, does anyone know what base, like the others all are clearly ASCE, which is an acronym for something, but and the other US code or federal, but what is base code?
Where do you see that?
Like special flood hazard area, and then you've got parentheses, base code chapter 2 section 202.
Oh, in the definitions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just copied that verbatim from the list that they provided.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, that was one that it just seemed too obscure. Like the others, I felt like you could always, if you were trying to check someone's citations, you could look them up, but base code, I didn't know where that correlated to. Okay.
And we,
where exactly is that again?
what
I'm
page?
looking at, yeah, go ahead. You have it?
No, what page?
So looking at
Oh,
Gino's,
Page, I see it,
Okay.
page 3, special flood hazard area. And it says, yeah, base code chapter 2, section 202.
yeah, under the, I guess, yeah, under the 5.5.2 definitions, and some of the definitions, like development, comes from US Code of Federal Regulations, others reference standard ASCE, but I didn't know. And then there's the like floodway, it just says base code, and maybe that's obvious to somebody who's in this industry, but it's not like jumping out at me. So just trying
Right,
to figure out
yeah.
what document would I search for if I were looking to cross-reference.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll check that out and send out an explanation.
Okay.
Thanks. Otherwise, it looks good.
Does anyone else have any other questions? What I would like to do, not that we can't change it, but I'd like to basically tentatively, well, I'd like to vote on this to get it off our desk. And if after advisory and the select board look at it, if they want something tweaked, we can always tweak it. So do I have a motion to approve the updated floodplain bylaw for town of Sherborn?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a
updated
second?
flood-
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? The only other thing, Addie Mae, we'll get an answer for that. And we left the definition of an RV in there because we didn't want to pull something out and have the state be like, how come you don't have your RV definition? So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Addie Mae,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Robert,
Aye.
Chris, aye. And Frank is not present, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I did this out of order because Marion was here. So I'm going to go back and do the minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes of October 5th?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions? I move to approve the planning board minutes of October 5th, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Addie Mae,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
and Chris is an aye. So we already quickly talked about lot width, so you guys got those definitions, and again, if Gino, if you could get just some copies of different plot plans so people could play with it and see how it would apply, and maybe we'll sit and talk about that on November 16th if everyone is ready. I had talked about I don't know if Will or Rob are interested in meeting next Thursday for the pre-application conference. If you guys are, let us know so we can post the meeting. If you're not, well, there's no need to post it. Are you guys interested?
I'm interested, but probably not available. So
Okay, well,
don't post it on my account.
okay. Rob?
I'm not sure that I'd be able to make it actually. So.
Okay. Well, as I said to Marion, my goal for this is not to make any decisions, is just to sit, hear what the proposal is, and then bring it back to this board anyhow. So I'm not going to pretend to represent the will of the planning board. I'm just going to be there as a member, gather the information, then we can talk about it, and then I'm going to continue the meeting, and then we'll sit down after conservation, after DPW, after Board of Health, and after planning has had an opportunity to look at it, and then we'll all give them our input. So if you're not there, you're not going to miss anything because there will be no decisions made. Gino, any reports?
Not really. The only thing, as I noted to you, Chris, earlier, I attended the monthly SWAT meeting this morning, and the topic was not really too directly related to Sherborn. It was on impacts of e-commerce. And for example, our neighboring town of Holliston had this huge warehouse. I think it was like 800,000 square feet. They denied it. There was a lot of opposition. It's being appealed now. Bellingham has many of these. They're going in everywhere because of not just Amazon, but other companies as well, to facilitate fast delivery of goods that are ordered online. And that the warehouses and the trucks and truck impacts and all that is just traffic, parking is just part of it. There's also the retail space. Some retail space is being converted to what they call dark stores, where you don't go in to shop, but they have goods inside and again, available for either pickup or quick delivery. Ghost kitchens, where restaurants are advertised online. You may have seen some of these already. I mean, they're in existence, where you order takeout, and generally it's affiliated with another brick and mortar restaurant, and they prepare the food and deliver it. So that was it. It was interesting. We don't have any industrial zoning, so we're not going to be subject to warehousing, and we don't have much retail space to begin with. So we won't have many direct impacts, but we'll have impacts from our neighboring communities.
Thank you,
That's about
Gino.
all I have to report.
Okay. I am going to let the board decide what they want to do. It is 7:32. Our next meeting is probably going to be a long one. The Red Sox are playing in about half an hour. If you guys want to sit and talk about lot width and play with that a little bit, we can do that. If you guys want to push that off to November 16th and so you can have more time to look at it, that's fine too. What's the will of the board?
Chris, before you make that decision, can I just interject that I would like to bring up a topic from the Groundwater Protection Committee under boards from other boards and committees tonight at some point?
That's fine. That's fine.
So if that could be one of your options that you're deciding on, thank you.
Yeah. Although we have plenty of time. I just, I was going to work my way down, but yeah, so that's fine. So what do you guys
Also,
think about?
Sorry, Chris, I was just going to say, I can give you like a 1-minute report on the MWRTA meeting as well.
That would be great. That would be great. So you guys want to do lot width, or you want to push it off to the 16th? I will take that as a desire to push it off. So Steph, if you have an update, please.
Sorry, I was coughing. You called on me, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry. So the Groundwater Protection Committee is considering, I see Brian Moore is here. He's the chair of the Groundwater Protection Committee, so please feel free to jump in. But we are considering the topic of the Groundwater Protection Bylaw. It has been proposed in two potentially different or compatible formats. One is an update to the existing general bylaw for groundwater protection. The other would be the creation of an overlay district. So I think what I was tasked with coming to the planning board and sort of taking the pulse to see where the planning board stands on those two choices. And I had a long conversation with Gino about the difference between them. So if I can just briefly summarize the difference between them. If we update the general bylaw, we can impose restrictions for the purpose of groundwater protection. We can tie those restrictions to land use. We cannot tie those restrictions to zoning. So for example, we could tie the restriction to residential, but we cannot tie the restriction to 3-acre residential. An update to the general bylaw would be sponsored by the Groundwater Protection Committee, most likely, and it would require a 50% vote to pass. If we were to do a zoning bylaw, that could include or involve an overlay district, or it could impose restrictions according to zoning. So the difference is that a zoning bylaw would require 2/3 majority vote to pass. The zoning bylaw would, it doesn't have to be, but it's never not been sponsored by the planning board. So the zoning bylaw would essentially require planning board sponsorship. The zoning bylaw would also grandfather properties who do not meet it. So if there was properties that have an existing use, they would not be required to comply with the requirements of groundwater protection. And then there's the potential subset of zoning bylaws, which would be the creation of an overlay district. This has been done several times in Sherborn to date. It's been done for floodplains as part of the FEMA requirement to be in the National Flood Insurance Program. It's been done for solar as part of green communities. It's been done for communications and radio towers. So very specific, tangible uses. Overlay districts have been created. There was also an overlay district created for by the MAPC communities for public well protection, but it was very how shall I say? It was very light on protection. So of the 4 overlay districts that have been passed the town meeting, they've all been somewhat required or in a partnership. Ryan, I apologize. This is the first time you're hearing this as well. This has been like a crazy week. So this would be a proposal for an overlay district where certain areas, for example, Farm Pond, would warrant additional protection, groundwater protection. But this is sort of like a risk reduction optional bylaw, right? So it's different in nature from the overlay districts that have passed in the past. So I guess I just excuse me, wanted to see if there was ask Gino if there's anything I left out. My understanding is that the restrictions that could be imposed could be the same between a general bylaw, a zoning bylaw by land use, or a zoning bylaw by overlay district. The restrictions could be the same. It's just a matter of where they apply. We could also do a combination where we have general bylaw update for most things and a specific overlay district proposal for something specific. like Farm Pond. So they're not mutually exclusive. But again, the zoning bylaw, any form of the zoning bylaw, whether that would be restriction by zoning or overlay district, would essentially require planning board sponsorship to be taken seriously. So I kind of wanted to open it up and just see if there's any like gut reactions or thoughts before the Groundwater Protection Committee dives in and starts to think about this a little more significantly in terms of content.
Well, I'd like to ask a question. What is the Groundwater Protection Committee? What do you think they would like to do?
Brian, would you like to jump in?
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Brian Moore, 49 Farm Road, Groundwater Commissioner, and Chair of the Groundwater Protection Committee. And Steph, I hope you're feeling okay. I feel terrible that you had to do that, but thank you for getting that out there. As she mentioned, the committee's just picking this up now. There has been some through the master planning stuff, and other boards have expressed some interest in possibly updating the bylaw. Bylaw was passed in '92, updated in 2006, and is narrative, and as Steph explained, only applies to uses. Our position, we haven't formed a position as a committee nor recommendation yet, but I think we have come to the realization that an overlay protection district is more nuanced and flexible, is a more nuanced and flexible tool for a town to employ in protecting their resources. Because
Okay.
you can have it apply to just groundwater. You can have a overlay district which applies to a watershed, meaning like protective of surface water. So there's much more flexibility, I believe, with the overlay protection district to backstop the existing groundwater protection bylaw. We haven't received comments from any other boards yet, so we haven't really formed our own opinion. My own personal opinion as a practitioner, someone who deals with groundwater quality and surface water quality, is that in my experience, the overlay protection district process is typically more thorough and generally accepted as being a more powerful tool for the protection of groundwater or surface water, if that helps.
Okay. And as Steph said, you could do a hybrid. You could update our existing as well as having an overlay district, correct?
That is
Did
correct.
okay. Gino, what are your thoughts?
Well, the other aspect on this, and not necessarily that the current situation would be bound by the feeling in the past, but I do remember when the groundwater protection bylaw, the general bylaw, was updated in 2006, and when the and discussion about it before that, the prevailing mood or thought at the time was that the entire town groundwater is important to the entire town. The entire town should be subject to whatever regulations are in place rather than specific areas of town. So there may be reasons not to follow that thought, but I just wanted to bring it up that was something from the past that was considered. And also, kind of on a related issue, the MS4 process and the phosphorus regulations, it's been decided that would be on a townwide basis as opposed to the MS4 district that's was created by the federal government.
Other board members, any thoughts? Addie Mae? Will?
Not yet, just, yeah, there are definitely some stuff to think about, whether it's overlay versus townwide.
Brian, without putting your committee through more work, if there was more detail and you had a compelling reason to do one thing or the other, I think that would be helpful. I would pretty much, I can't speak for the board, but I would be in support of whatever helps you with your mission. Any other thoughts from the other members?
Just with regards
Yep.
to what Gino said, I believe the GPC absolutely believes that whatever should be done for protecting groundwater should at minimum be unilateral within the town boundaries. And that if someone wanted to be more restrictive in certain areas, that the protection overlay district would give them that opportunity. But at minimum, there should be this added level of protection for all zoning districts within the town, regardless of whether they're serviced by municipal water from other neighboring towns or not.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments from the board? So Brian, how would you like us to proceed? I mean, we're happy to follow your lead, I think.
Well, Tom, and I'm sorry, Steph, I'll just try to answer as best I can. Tom has some language which is similar to the inquiries that Steph made of Gino, and did some research on the difference between a bylaw and an overlay district. And Tom will be, I will have him circulate that to you, to your board as well. And feedbacks or thoughts, really, it's a very informal process. We're an advise and consent type of board. We don't really have
Yep.
authority to adjudicate but we can certainly make recommendations, and we're happy to do that once we understand. I think if, for instance, FPAC is another committee that we're soliciting some feedback from. So
Yep.
we try to gel it all and get it down to a digestible couple of sentences, I think, is the way that we're going to operate. Steph, does that cover what you were going to say?
I was just going to say, maybe we should, as a committee, think a little bit about what the specific restrictions would be, and then come back to determine how they should be applied and to where they should be applied, and therefore which mechanism would make the most sense.
I think that's fine. Yes, I agree.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right, well, we will be in anticipation. So let us know how we can help. I'm up for, like I said, I personally would be up for anything that helps you do your job and helps, protect the groundwater for the town. So if there's nothing else, I'm going to go to Rob Wolf. Rob, you have a report?
Yeah, that was the October 4th MWRTA Transportation Committee meeting. And the main discussion that really happened on the agenda had to do with fares. They have multiple classes of bus service, and they made them free, or at least some of those classes. I'm not sure about every class of service, but they made at least some of their services free around the start of the pandemic. They didn't want to just be collecting fares and collecting cash from people and so forth. And they had originally planned to go back to collecting fares in October, but they're switching to a new fare collection system, and it won't be ready until at least January. So at least some of these services are currently free to anybody using them. And they said that in the short term, they have plenty of funds to provide services. And they're really more constrained by difficulties in hiring and retaining drivers in providing services. They find that difficult to have enough drivers. And then there was just one other item. It's kind of odd that it came to me through this board, but an email came out from them asking board members to notify their towns that Ashland now has drive-through COVID testing. And so I forwarded that information to the Board of Health with a note that they might want to put that on the town website, though I haven't seen anything shown up on their COVID information page.
Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to give Gino more homework regarding whether it's just an update to the existing or an overlay district. Would it be possible, Gino, to see how other similar towns have managed it? Is that Is that adding too much work for you?
No, absolutely.
I think when the discussion comes back to us, it would be good to see, because I can see both arguments. I can see how people in town would say, well, the whole town should be protected, but at the same time, there's specific areas, namely Farm Pond, that maybe needs a higher level of protection. And it would just give us a better sense of how other towns have managed it when that discussion comes back to us. Does anyone else have anything they would like to discuss? If there is nothing, the only other thing I want to add is if any of the other members want to attend the October 28th meeting at 2 o'clock at Town Hall, by Monday, let Gino know. And if Gino, if anyone else other than Addie Mae and myself are going to attend, you could post that meeting, please.
Sure.
Okay. Our next meeting, we have a lot of things to talk about, so I'm going to let everyone call it an early night and go watch the baseball game. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Addie Mae,
Aye.
Will,
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
And Chris is an aye. Everyone have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank everyone. Good night.
Yep.
Yep, good
Good night,
night.
everybody.